What's going on YouTube? So the Lexus RX still reigns as the ultimate luxury SUV for many shoppers in the US, and it's still set to top the sales charts.
And for 2026 model year, Lexus is adding some enhancements to this ever so popular SUV.
So, is this the best RX yet? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So like always, we need to start this review off with a quick spec dump about what you'll see under the hood. So there's going to be 4 different distinct powertrains you can choose with this RX. We have the standard option, the RX 350. It's a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that makes 275 horsepower. That's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, you have 24 mpg combined.
Now, the base price of the RX in 2026 is $51,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we're going to take it out for a spin. While we're on that spin, we'll get things like our sound level reading, and at the end, discuss resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood, because first we need to take a look at the exterior design before we get into the luxurious interior. Now for 2026, up here in the front, you're not going to notice any overall changes to the design aesthetic. This RX kind of led the way actually into a new Lexus design language with the kind of integration of the grille into the face and having some body color elements. Now, there'll continue to be many different versions that you can get this RX in. There's actually one additional version for 2026. That's that the 450H Plus model now has a premium trim. And you can also get the F-Sport variants, which give you a much more aggressive front fascia. Now, let's take a look at our headlights. Of course, you have standard full LED headlights, as you'd expect for the Lexus brand. However, if you want the signature triple beam LED headlights, those are optional on this model. And when you choose that, that will also bring in the LED turn signal indicators. I kind of wish that was standard equipment though. And then down here at the bottom, we have LED fog lights as well. And taking a look at the back, it just has that signature RX look. You know, they've always had that same kind of shape to them. And we've got the latest Lexus details.
Yeah, so what are those details? Well, we have a spoiler up here at the top. Our wiper is hidden underneath to keep it from being weathered. And of course, we have the full-length LED taillights across the back with the Lexus branding. Speaking of LED, every single element in this taillight unit is LED. The brake light, the amber turn signal, and the reverse light, all LED. And then as we drop down to this lower fascia, this is going to be a mixture of a little bit of silver trim, some body color, and matte black. The tow rating is 3,500 pounds, and no RX will get exposed exhaust outlets.
Moving on to the wheels, you have a few different selections from 19 to 21-inch alloys, depending on the trim level you select. Today we have the premium trim, which is, one of the more affordable trims, but we have the optional 21-inch alloy, which is basically exactly the same as what you get on the luxury trim. I like the gray finish on board with this. And one thing I also want to mention that's new for 2026 is an available appearance package on your F-Sport trims. Basically, that kind of makes it look like last year's black line version and includes some kind of wild things such as orange brake calipers and a lower body kit in the back. Nice body color finish around our wheel arches there, and as far as our mirrors are concerned, every RX is fully loaded with all the features, including blind spot monitoring, power folding, and auto dimming.
Now at the side of the RX, overall vehicle length is 192.5 inches, and we do also have a few different design touches, such as a little bit of black on our door handles. We also have this floating roof design and roof rails up here at the top. Now, when it comes to safety systems, I'm happy to tell you every RX will have all of your active safety features as standard equipment, which will include things like adaptive cruise control. Additionally, you can option on things like a traffic jam assist for some limited hands-free driving at under 25 miles per hour. But there are some changes for 2026 on the inside that we need to discuss. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from sound level readings to cargo measurements, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now on to the interior. Here's our key fob. Of course, you have a standard smart entry system with the Lexus key fob on board. You also have an available digital key system and a smart parking system, but just for the luxury trim. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. It is a touch-sensitive door handle, so you're just going to pinch, and that will be what opens up. And then let's take a look at the interior. As you can see, you got a very nice looking cabin, especially when you finish it in this color option. And let's start off by talking about the seats. So New Luxe faux leather is what is standard on the RX, and it is also included here on the premium trim. Like I said, this is kind of one of the more affordable trims, and I think one of the most popular trims in the entire lineup because, you know, you can't really tell that this is not a real leather. It's still very supple. You have nice quilting details and perforation throughout, and you've got several different colors you can choose from as well. This is one of my personal favorites. Now, of course, if you get other trim levels, that's going to unlock several other things. So you can get like sport bucket seats and red interior on the F Sport model. You also get semi-allen leather on your luxury trims. The seats on this version are going to be 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support. You can also get 14 ways of adjustment and power thigh extension on the top trim. And then everything but the base model gives you memory seats. But let's climb on inside. Closing up the door, we'll look at the rest of the cabin materials. So starting with the door trim, the armrest portion is covered in a leatherette with a stitching detail. You'll see the same color as the seats reflected up here in the center section, and then a soft touch plastic at the top. As we move to the upper dash, all of this is a padded plastic. We have a leatherette trim that runs through there onto the door trim, padded plastic through here, and then we have some open pore. It looks like a bamboo trim that's in the dashboard, and you'll also see that same trim across the entire center console here, and then more padding along here for your knee to bump against. Everything feels super solid and well put together as we expect from Lexus. And really there's not much difference between this premium version, which is on the more affordable side, and that more expensive luxury trim with materials. Now we'll fire it up with push button start. With the vehicle all fired up, we can dig into some individual details, starting with the gauge cluster. Last year, Lexus added the full digital gauge cluster as standard equipment on all trims. That's what you're looking at right now. You can reconfigure all the different information inside of that, as well as choose some different designs. A head-up display is available. And then as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a very nice looking, kind of that classic luxury design steering wheel, leather wrapped on all models. The premium and above give you the wood detailing up in the front, so we got the matching wood decor to the rest of the cabin. It is power, tilt, and telescoping, and heated as well. Now let's take a look at interior storage. We'll start by checking out our center console. Just like other Lexus products, it does open up from both sides, and when we look in there, we'll see that we've got some donuts inside. Now, for those of you who don't know, the donut is our logo. That's why we put them inside the center console, so that we can check the volume and compare to other models. Today we have 14 donuts inside, so that certainly passes our 12 donut test and stands up well against the competition. Now, in front of that, you have 2 cup holders. You have a storage shelf right here. And then more importantly, if we slide back the wood trim, we have a much larger storage cubby, which new for 2026 now has a standard wireless phone charging pad for all trim levels. You have 4 USB ports as well. As far as the shifter is concerned, it's Lexus electronic shifter. Pull back for drive, do the opposite for reverse. When we head into reverse, you'll see either the traditional standard backup camera or this available 360-degree camera option. Like I was saying, it is optional on this premium trim level. As you can see, you get the overhead view as well as the standard view. Press that P there for park. You also have an electronic parking brake with auto brake hold. Now, as we continue our tour through this interior, let's stop next at our volume knob. So you got 2 different audio systems you can get on this model. You have a 12 speaker standard sound system that's unbranded, or you can get the available 21 speaker Mark Levinson Pure Play audio system. Today we actually have the standard sound system, so let's give that a sample. I think this might be the first time that we've actually listened to the standard sound system in the RX, and I have to say it is not bad at all. If you're not a huge audio person, it's probably not really worth it to spend the extra for the Mark Levinson, but that is a great sounding audio system if you really enjoy good sound quality. Now, right in the same area, we have our climate controls. This is a 3-zone automatic setup. That's what you get on the vast majority of RX models. You can just adjust your temperature easily with these knobs that are embedded into the screen itself. Some additional functions are, of course, right there in the display, and you can pull that up for some more functions. Also, one of the nice things about the RX is that almost every single model gives you standard heated and ventilated seats, just not the base trim level. Now, the screen itself that you're looking at right now is the 14-inch display. This is optional on several of the trim levels, including this premium. What you get as standard is just under 10 inches. It's 9.8 inches, and it does kind of reconfigure your climate controls just a little bit as well when you make that selection instead. Regardless, though, you will get the same software. It's the Toyota and Lexus software, which includes wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and also integrated navigation. Rising above, we have an auto-dimming mirror with built-in home link remotes. That's standard equipment. You can also get the digital camera rear view mirror as an option. And then I'll slide back our standard size sunroof. Lexus includes this on all but the base RX as standard equipment. But if you want the panoramic roof, that will be an additional cost option on every version except the top-end luxury.
And now let's talk about the RX's rear seat. Of course, that's very important to anyone buying in this segment, and we'll first and foremost hit legroom and headroom figures. So as far as legroom is concerned, we're sitting at 37 inches of legroom, 37 inches of headroom as well. Now, that does mean that for, its competitive set, this is on the smaller side. So especially compared to rivals like Genesis GV80, BMW X5, and Mercedes GLE, this is definitely going to be on the smaller side. That being said, I brought along the official car Confections ruler. The reason I do that is so I can get a realistic knee room figure for you. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I am 5'9", and we're still sitting at 9.5 inches of knee room. So definitely enough space for the average person, that's for sure. My feet can slide up underneath of these seats, and I just have to applaud these rear seats. They are incredibly, incredibly comfortable. Now, speaking of extra comfort, you can recline them a pretty good distance as well to give yourself some extra comfort. You can also get power second row seats on some of the higher end examples of the RX. And then if we fold down the center armrest, we do have 2 cup holders inside that pop out. As far as other features, vents are standard equipment, as you would expect. We also have our own climate zone back here in the rear, 2 USB ports, and you can get heated as well as ventilated rear seats here on the RX. It's just reserved for the higher-end examples, namely the luxury. Now, over on the door trim, we have soft-touch plastic all through here, a lot of leatherette through the center section and on our armrest portion. Another thing I really like is the fact that we have huge door storage. It easily swallows up things like this water bottle with room to spare. Let's check out the cargo area. A power tailgate is standard equipment on every RX. However, you do have to pay extra for the kick ability. And let's talk about the overall cargo capacity with this model. So that is one area that this RX is, once again, a little bit smaller than the rivals. So you're sitting at 29 cubic feet behind the second row of seats and has a maximum 46 cubic feet of cargo capacity with those seats folded down. That certainly is going to be less than its main competition, GLE, X5, as well as GV80. Those are all going to be significantly bigger, as in almost close to double as big. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. Now, as far as how the seats fold, they do fold 40-20-40 split, which is quite nice. And there are little buttons over here on the side to electronically fold the seats down. So I really like the fact that you don't have to go up to the second row to fold those down. You can also get a fully power setup for return as well if you'd rather have that feature. And let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So the seats, it is worth noting, they don't fold super flat with the floor. And as far as cargo length, behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, 78 inches is what you can expect. Cargo length behind the second row, 41 inches. As far as the opening, that's also going to be on the shorter side, about 44 inches. And then height, I'll go ahead and get that number for you. We're sitting at about 29 inches, which is shorter than the competition, and that's at the highest point there. Towards the end of the cargo area, you're only looking at about 16 inches in terms of height. Let's get our load-in height as well, 32 inches high. Now, underneath of the floor, there is a little bit of extra space, and you have a spare tire really easily access point. And speaking of the competition, I want to encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the two-row luxury midsizers out there and ranked them in the 10 most important categories to SUV shoppers in this segment. Things like cargo capacity, interior technology, and luxury features, powertrain choices, safety, and reliability are all detailed there for you, so you can sort and see the best options in each of those categories so you can make an informed buying decision. So definitely check that tool out. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Lexus RX. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was 60 miles an hour with the Lexus RX 350. So like we talked about a little bit at the spec dump, this vehicle has 4 different powertrain setups. So you've got a lot of different choices when it comes to what is going to best fit your lifestyle with the RX lineup. I think most people remain walking away from the dealership with the RX 350. You know, that's kind of the classic nameplate. And this has a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 275 horsepower, and 317 pound-feet of torque. Overall acceleration is pretty good. Certainly with the torque, you can feel that push you back in the seat as you accelerate. 0 to 60 is a little over 7 seconds when you're trying to pick between the models. And that's not the slowest model in the lineup, by the way.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think this is a good powertrain choice for most people. Like you said, I think the torque really stands out about the RX 350. Now, if you want to see all the other options, I'll just go ahead and insert a text box in on the screen right now so you can see all the other choices. To kind of summarize it a little bit, you have a standard 350h hybrid, so that's kind of like your most fuel-efficient version. You have a powerful hybrid system available, the 500h, and then you also have a plug-in hybrid system available, which is known as the 450h Plus.
And we do have reviews on the channel, I think, for all those powertrains.
Yes, we do.
So you can,
all of them.
If you just go through and search, you know, for different model years within this generation, we have reviewed every single one of those powertrains. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, we've got an 8-speed automatic. It's a nice and smooth transmission, as you would expect. Really, everything about the RX is kind of designed to be smooth, and this does fit nicely with the engine.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there are several other transmission choices, depending on your powertrain. An ECVT is on the hybrids, and then you also have a 6-speed automatic for the 500h. You can get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And let's go ahead and quickly talk about fuel economy as well. I'm sure you're curious about that. For most people, for the RX 350, it'll be 21, 28, 24. That's with all-wheel drive. If you choose the front-wheel drive option, you can get up to 25 miles per gallon combined. If you're super fuel economy focused, I would recommend getting the 350h. That's going to get you really great fuel economy at 36 miles per gallon combined. Or you can, of course, choose the plug-in hybrid, which has over 30 miles of all-electric range. So that's certainly really nice. It's actually 38 miles of all-electric range on that model, so that's definitely very efficient. And now you have the new premium trim level for 2026, so that definitely reduces the price point down of the plug-in hybrid. That used to be a very expensive choice and still will be a lot more expensive than this, but it definitely is nice to see that they added that trim level this year.
So that was our auto start-stop system functioning. It is really nice and smooth overall. You can defeat it, though, if you don't like it.
And I do also want to point out for the RX 450h Plus, there's another change for 2026. You actually get a standard dual voltage charge cord this year, so that's definitely a nice addition as well. And now that we're just cruising down the highway portion, I think it's a great time to talk about ride quality. Of course, if you're looking to buy a Lexus RX, ride quality is at the forefront of your mind, and every single model year I say the same thing. So, if you've watched previous RX reviews, you won't be surprised by this. It's super comfortable. Guys, this is one of the most comfortable vehicles that money can buy. It does have very stiff competition, I will say, and it stands up really nicely against all of the competitors. Super comfortable. The seats are fantastic here in this premium grade. I will point out the F Sport gives you a lot more aggressive seats, so if you don't like to be hugged in as much, that's something to keep in mind. But for all the normal luxury versions of the RX, amazing seats, that's for sure. And the ride quality is fantastic, even with the larger 21-inch alloy wheels on the outside, and I imagine it gets even better if you choose smaller wheels. As far as technology is concerned, the F Sport model does get an adaptive variable suspension to kind of give you that adjustability, to give it a little bit of a sportier feel, if that's what you're looking for. All right, let's get our sound level reading. We have it on fan speed 1, and the rear climate is turned off. Excellent. 54.1 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading here in the RX 350. We don't have to sit here and guess. We can compare it to all of its rivals at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And when you do look at rivals, it certainly is going to be a nice and quiet cabin. It's not quite the quietest cabin. Of course, some of the rivals like the BMW X5 have been kind of the reigning champ. That and the Genesis GV80, have the quietest cabins in the segment. That being said, that's not saying this is a loud cabin at all. It just has really quiet competitors. All right, and let's get into today's slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk of the RX?
For the slam dunk, we'll say the features and kind of the value and luxury that this premium trim is giving you. So we actually hadn't really spent much time with this version, and I can see why this is one of the most popular RX selections, because you really get a lot of the same experience that you get from the luxury trim, but you get it with a much lower price point, and we'll talk about that in just a second.
Yeah, now on the airball side, what we're not a huge fan of in this model continues to be the space in the RX. Now, I think that's really kind of the Achilles heel of this new generation, is the fact that you only have 46 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Compared to the rivals, you are going to definitely sacrifice a lot in the overall cargo capacity. Now let's talk pricing for the RX. Now when it comes to 2026, prices do rise a little bit. It's not too significant though. It's about $1,000 on most of the versions of this model. We start at $51,000 as a base price. There are a ton of trim levels. You can see those on the screen right now if you want to see the full pricing breakdown. This particular model is a pretty modestly equipped one. We have a 2026 RX 350 all-wheel drive. We have the premium trim, 53.5 is our base price. We also have quite a few options, not too many though, and 1450 destination. All told, we're looking at $60,800. If you want to know where it's manufactured, it is manufactured in Canada. And if you're looking to buy a Lexus RX or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lexus RX's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles would be worth 53.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 28.2%. Now, it's worth noting those are really good resale value percentages for a luxury brand. It's actually above average for all vehicle brands, but it is the #1 luxury brand overall.
The same can also be said about reliability, where Lexus is the #1 luxury automaker. Now, of course, we did the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them all together to give you the most holistic picture. Again, when you do that with the latest 2025 data, the Lexus brand comes out as well above average.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do get a pretty good one. So it's a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty. You get a 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty, and you do also get 2 complimentary service visits. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the 2026 Lexus RX 350. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we really hope you did, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.